Welcome back to Blended Scotch Reviews by Stab the Dragon Productions for episode number 39. Today is Tuesday, December 10th, 2025, and I'm coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas, where it's 41 degrees this morning and now 65 degrees. 24-degree change, which is great for the making of whiskeys. I've been conducting a survey and tournament of some of the basic blended Scotch whiskeys over the past year, and we are currently in the midst of our second family feud. Our first family feud was the Dewar's family, but now we're looking at the famous Grouse family of blends. And we're conducting a one-on-one competition to see which Grouse is my favorite of the Grouse eye. We've looked at the famous Grouse, and we finished that bottle. It came in third in the competition. Then Ruby Cask, which is what we're looking at today, and we looked at Bourbon Cask over here, Bourbon Cask, and we finished up with the Smoky Black. And Smoky Black won the competition, and I'm going to just say it's because it's got peat in it, and I tend to be a peat head. But we got a call from Naked Malt saying, wait a minute, I'm part of the family even though I'm an outcast. How about me? So we have now brought Naked Malt into competition, and the first one he faced was the Famous Grouse. Famous Grouse won. And Famous Grouse come in third in the competition. So today it's going to be Naked Malt versus Ruby Cask. Ruby Cask came in last in the family feud. And just because it came in last does not mean that it's a bad whiskey. I would accept a drink of Ruby Cask anytime. And if you offered me a free bottle, I would take it because I can't find it anywhere now. So just because something loses in the family feud doesn't mean it's a bad whiskey. It just means I like all the whiskeys, and that one is just the lesser of the bunch. So is it legit to have a blended malt versus a blended Scotch? Well, we tried that last time, and the blended Scotch actually won, which I had kind of thought might happen. So we'll see. What are my rules? I compare these whiskeys with the same criteria by which I review them all, but the real deciding factor has to be taste, mouthfeel, burn, and finish. Simply this: what's my enjoyability of drinking this whiskey? Which one do I enjoy the most? Which has got the highest drinkability quotient, right? So that's what I'm looking at. Now, I do this with blacked out glasses because there's a visual difference between a lot of these whiskeys. And so if I was doing it in a clear Glencairn, I could figure out which is which just by looking at it. And that can alter the outcome because I have emotional favorites. And so I may be subtly attached to one whiskey over another. And I need to test that blind to see if my emotional attachment is legit or not. And so that's why we do a blind competition. Now, if there's a tie, and this has happened in the past, if there's a tie, price, value, and availability will be the deciding factor. And then just for fun, I toss in, can I tell these apart? Can I determine which whiskey's in which class? And so the which is which thing we save to the end after I determine which one is the winner. All right, so let's go to the whiskeys. So just the facts. Neither of these whiskeys has an age statement. And so, you're not going to find one is noticeably older than the other, I guess. But Naked is 86 proof, while Ruby Cask is 80 proof. So proof advantage here. However, Naked costs about $31, and Ruby it cost me $20 because it was on sale. But normally it's around $25 to $26. Okay, so, it's going to be $4 or $5 less than Naked. But availability is a problem. I can no longer find Ruby Cask anywhere. All right. Whereas Naked, there's at least one store that has it right now in my part of Fort Worth. So, so those are the basic facts. History. Coming from Perth, Scotland, Gloag's Perth whiskey was changed in 1896 to the Grouse whiskey. And then in 1905, it was changed again to the famous Grouse. And this expression was launched in 2011 as the Naked Grouse. It changed names in 2021 to Naked Malt. And the Edrington Group sold off all the Grouse line to William Grant & Sons in late 2024, early 2025. The cask finish lineup here, though, started in 2018. So the Ruby cask technically precedes Naked Malt, but Naked Grouse is several years older than Ruby cask, but we're going to go with the technical win for Ruby cask because the label, the name, all that does matter. So Ruby cask is technically a little bit older. Bottle, label, and marketing. Now, I get the idea behind the name Naked Malt and then the simple bottle, simple label. But Ruby Cask Grouse has a really nice bottle, really nice, great label. In fact, this is my favorite label of the famous Grouse Eye because you get the flying grouse, right? And it does come in a box. So, we've got a box here. And you'll notice the color coding. The colors on the Ruby cask are kind of a reddish brown color, whereas the bourbon cask over here is definitely brown. Bourbon cask. Now, the famous Grouse itself, I have never seen in a box, and also the Smoky Black I've not seen in a box. But, black has got black on the label. So they're color coded. And so that's a little bit attention to detail that I like. So, but I get the significance of the Naked. It's just got the barrel embossed on the glass. And you got the wrapper around the neck is the label. And then government stuff on the back. But, I don't know. I prefer the bottle with the label. So there you go. Bottle, label, and marketing goes to Ruby. Now, when it comes to marketing, I don't see anything out there for Ruby. But if you do an internet search, you can find some videos about Naked Malt. They're out there. And they may be older. They may be Naked Grouse. So, but nonetheless, for bottle, label, and marketing, I'll give that to the Ruby cask. Appearance of these two whiskeys, you can see that the Naked is substantially darker than the Ruby cask, which is funny because the Ruby cask was the darker of all the basic Grouses, and so the Ruby cask won it there, but Naked is clearly darker. Of course, with Scotch you can add food coloring, so who knows what goes in there. But for appearance, Naked Malt for the win, and just aesthetically, I prefer darker whiskeys. Composition, everything that Naked has, that is Highland Park, the Macallan, Glenturret, Glenrothes, maybe Glengoyne. I've seen that mentioned lately. All of that, the Ruby cask also has. Okay, but the Ruby cask, being a blended Scotch, has got grain whiskeys as well. So who knows how many whiskeys are in here. But to me, the blended Scotches are way more complex and yet cheaper. I don't understand how that works. Plus, Ruby cask is finished in some port wine casks. So, now, granted, I think some of the malts over here in the Naked Malt are also finished. I think the Macallan is finished, is in some wine casks as well. But for composition, 86 proof versus 80 proof, neither has an age statement. I'm going to give a slight win to Naked for the win there. Price, value, and availability. Ruby's definitely worth the price of $25, $26. But again, almost zero availability in Fort Worth now. I don't see it anywhere. Naked is at least available at Specs for $31. And it's listed on Goody Goody for $34, but it's out of stock. So Total Wine doesn't even carry it. So neither of these is greatly available in my part of town, but Naked for the win because it's at least available. You can find it at Specs. All right, now let's get to the whiskeys themselves. I have mixed these whiskeys up, so I don't know which glass is which, but the Ruby Cask is glass number 1. It's labeled on the bottom, and Naked Malt is glass number 2, also labeled on the bottom. You'll be able to see that when I tip it up to drink it, but I won't be able to see it. So we'll start nosing left to right. Well, I'm getting a dose of the wine in here. Now, both of them have a wine influence. So, which is which? This is a pretty heavy dose, though. Man, that's actually a very good, attractive nose. Man, that's significant. So I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, they both have a wine influence. The one on the right, fainter nose. I do get a little sweetness and a little wine. But I'm going to say the one on the left has the best nose, and it's significantly better. So what that means is I'll start with the one on the right. That's normally how I operate. Now, what you don't want to do, if I can suspect that there's a proof difference, I will start with the lower proof and go to the higher proof. Here, I'm really not sure. I'm not as familiar with either of these whiskeys. And so, they're both wine finished. So who knows? And what you really don't want to do is start with a peated whiskey and go to a non-peated whiskey, because peat smoke will wreck your palate. All right, tasting. That is lovely taste. I get some sweetness. I get some malt. I get a little bit of a wine flavor going on there. Wow. This may be a very tough competition because, like I said, I don't know either of these whiskeys very well. I mean, that's just good all day long. Which one is that? I don't know. Huh. If I had to guess, just going off the first couple of sips, I think that's glass 1, the Ruby Cask, but not sure. Gotta try glass 2, or the next glass. The one on the left. Yeah, this one definitely has a stronger nose. Okay, here's where mouthfeel, burn, and finish come in. I think that's got a richer mouthfeel. Although, the first one may have had more of a burn. Well, I'm picking up a little bit more of a burn now on the finish. This is going to be really hard. I think this one, the nose and the mouthfeel clearly have an edge. So taste, though, good luck with that. Both of these were good. This is the one on the right. Okay, now, following the one on the left, leading, this one was really good. Following the one on the left, this one's diminished. So I'm going to say this is definitely glass 1, the Ruby Cask. And this other one on the left is going to be glass 2, the Naked Malt. And its taste holds together better after drinking the other one. But the other one, that first sip, that was really good. And see, here's the deal. If you start off with a lower proof and then you switch to a higher proof, that's a good path. But if you go from a higher proof to a lower proof, it wrecks it. So if I was just drinking the one on the right, I might say that's the winner. But switching back and forth, the one on the left definitely seems to be the better whiskey. So that puts me in a weird spot. I'm going to go with the one on the left. The nose was stronger. The mouthfeel, burn, and finish is stronger. Taste might be a shade less than the one on the right. So I'm going to say the one on the left is the winner. The one on the right had the better taste, but not by much. And then after sampling the one on the left, it totally wrecked the taste of the one on the right. So the left one wins. I think it's glass number 2, Naked Malt. And I am correct. There you go. So Naked Malt for the win. And there you go. The poor Ruby Cask, it loses everything. Which that's sad, because I mean, the Ruby Cask, I enjoy it. I would gladly take a drink for that anytime anybody offered it to me. If I ever find it in a store again, this is almost gone. I would consider replacing it, definitely. So Naked Malt is the winner, and I did correctly guess which is which. So we have a winner, and we correctly identified which was which. So the next question is, do we get a cocktail? The last time we met yesterday, I did a cocktail with Famous Grouse. Neither of these whiskeys, none of these Grouses make good cocktails for me. For me to have a Scotch in a cocktail, I really do need the peat. However, I mixed it yesterday with ginger ale, and it was okay. So let me try this again today. I'll be right back with a cocktail. All right, we are back with a cocktail or a mixed drink, whatever you want to call it. This time I use Sprite. I have previously tried Naked Malt in ginger ale, and it really didn't seem to work very well. Just didn't like the flavors. So I've tried this with full bore Sprite here. It's not sugar free. Oh yeah, it is. It says 0 sugar right there. I thought it was full bore Sprite. Oh well. And I don't know if you can see them in there, but I put a lime. I cut a lime in half, key lime, put it in there. And the result is not very good. No, this is the problem I've had with Naked Malt. This is now My second effort at making a little cocktail with soda and naked malt. And I don't recommend it. I don't know. You go to their website, they have all kinds of fancy cocktails you can do. Maybe that would work. But this, I always, here at the house, I keep it simple. And naked malt disappoints when it comes to the cocktail, basic cocktail. All right, well, that's it for this time. We at least do have a winner. Naked malt won something. And poor Ruby Cask has lost every competition it's been in. And yet, I like it. I would gladly drink this. So that just shows you how the blind competition is worth doing at your own home bar. There you go. What's up next? We're gonna do naked malt versus bourbon cask next. And bourbon cask was the runner-up in the famous Grouse family feud. So this is number 2. We will go against naked malt next time. So for now, this is Blended Scotch Reviews and Stab the Dragon Productions out here.